Hiya, I'm Jasper, and welcome to your video review for Star Trek Picard, Season 2. So, as always, I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the furry. To start off with the furry, nothing particularly memorable in the furry realm. There might have been a dog. I feel like there was a dog, but I don't remember there being a dog. Anyway, moving on. So, if you haven't seen my review for Star Trek Picard Season 1, it's included in the link below. Now is your last chance to go watch that before I spoil Season 1 for you. Okay, so, since you're still here, I'm assuming you've seen Season 1, or at least my review of it. In summary, Season 1 was super hot garbage dog shit because they just shit all over everything from the other seasons, bringing back characters to just chill over them. You did not need to kill Egypt in Season 1. It was just a bitch thing to do, and I know some people liked Hugh, and just everything they did in Season 1 was stupid and dumb, and I hated it, and their excuses for Picard being out of the military, or being out of the Federation for 20 years was stupid as well. Just everything about that Season 1 was stupid and shit and garbage. You're like, wait, I thought this was a Season 2 review. Okay, here's now on to Season 2. I actually really like Season 2. I know, you're like, what? But you absolutely hated Season 1. Yes, I did. And I really feel like you should just skip Season 1. Just skip Season 1 because they did some stupid things in Season 1 that I know they'll never come back from, but let's just pretend that Season 1 didn't happen, okay? So Season 2, the start of Star Trek Picard, that's what we're going with from now on, was really good. It stars, Sir Patrick Stewart as Jean-Luc Picard and Jerry Ryan as Seven of Nine, and the returning cast of characters from the season that doesn't exist. So I really liked it because they had logical character evolution, and sure, I think that they retconned how the Borg operates a bit, but I think that they at least maintained continuity with the season that shall not be named. So I know that they retconned how they function, but I think they did it in a way that at least stayed consistent with this particular series, So maybe not within the Star Trek universe, but hey, neither did Discovery for a while, and still sort of isn't with just the technology level and whatnot. So I think that they did what they could based on how our technology has advanced and how the understanding thereof, and just to make a logical storyline. So I really enjoyed it. I liked all of the characters in this one. I thought that they were really good. They were really interesting. We got to see more of them and explore them a bit more. It's not a perfect season. I think that there are some things that didn't quite make sense, like, hey, I'm going to know how to drive, but not the traffic laws. Like, if you know how to work the pedals and all that stuff from, zero prior experience, but you have issues with the traffic laws, I don't know about that. And, it was spaced out over, I think it was 6 or 8 or 10 episodes, whatever it was. I felt like that they could have cut it down, because I felt like there was a little bit of filler in it. So I think that, yeah, they should have cut it down a bit more, because this felt like kind of an elongated version of that episode where the Next Generation cast went back in time to 1800s or 1900s or whatever time period it was. It's been a while since I've seen the episode, but they were wearing suits, so remember that. And where they met Whoopi Goldberg as Guinan, and I think that was a 2-parter episode, and then this was, I'm going to go with 8 episodes. And they really could have cut it down, because again, there was some dialogue, some instances like that chase scene that I was talking about where they don't know the traffic laws. They could have just cut that whole section out, I think. So yeah, I will definitely give this a thumbs up. And if you don't want any spoilers, I feel like I haven't spoiled anything at this point, but if you don't want any spoilers, just stop now. Okay, so moving on to spoilers. Spoiler alert. The fact that they cut out Guinan, like Whoopi Goldberg, to use her younger self, some people might be like, hey, but what about you? I actually like how they did it, because they brought in Whoopi Goldberg during the current future time that they're in, and she's like, hey, I decided to age just because I feel like other people, they like to see people age, and that it were, the explanation that she gave, I was like, oh, That explains why she's letting herself get older. And I felt like that was a sufficient explanation for why when they went back in time, that they had a younger actress playing Guinan. Because I'm guessing Whoopi Goldberg's pretty freaking busy, doesn't have time to go shoot on this set, and then some of the actions and whatnot, like, I could see why it might be difficult to have her doing those. And so I liked their explanation for it. Just like I really, really liked how they made Q older. Like, it totally worked. They were just like, he's just like, oh, I got some years on you. And they had like the perfect young, the facial like technology that makes somebody look younger for the show. And they did a perfect job of that. Like, it didn't look any uncanny or smooth, like too smooth or whatever. Like, it looked perfect. And then he snaps his fingers, boom, he's older. I do think that it was a little confusing as to why he was sort of losing his powers. Like, it didn't quite make sense. And you know what? Maybe he doesn't have to, because they didn't really fully explain why he was losing his powers and why he could do certain things and not other things. But that's fine. I liked that we got to see more and explore more about Guinan's species' interaction with the Q race and how, they had like agreements and things. Like, I thought that was really neat, because I think that's been always one of the things that I wish that they had explored more, that they like brought up in like season 1 or 2 or whatever, when Whoopi Goldberg was there and she like saw Q and was like, ah, and Q was like, was like, oh shit, like, so the fact that they went into that more was excellent. See, that is how you bring back things from the previous shows in a way that doesn't shit all over them. Okay, sorry, getting over this. So the other thing is that I liked that when they went back in time, they were in April of 2024, which is fun because in November of 2024 is when the Bell riots were set. So there was the sanctuary districts or whatever they were called, with the dims and the gimmies and the whatnots and all that stuff. Like, that was set in November. I think it is totally plausible with how they were showing the like how their version of ICE agents were just like, shuttling people away with no civil rights and just like, oh, hey, you don't have ID on you at the exact moment in time? Cool, you're going to this area hundreds of miles, or, dozens, hundreds of miles away that has no communication, you're just going to be in cages, whatever. I could definitely see that in their universe evolving in just a short time to just the sanctuary districts. And then that causing the Bell riots, and then people finally being like, hey, we need to do something better. So, like, I saw a little bit of rumblings about this, about like, oh, like Picard has gone so woke or whatever, and I didn't feel that, because I felt like they were matching up with how their universe was leading to the Bell riots. So it's not supposed to be, it's clearly, at this point, seeing as we're past many different things that other shows have gone back in time for that we have passed. Like, think about Voyager. That was shown, like 1995, and they went back in time to, I think it was either 1995 or 1999, with totally made up companies that didn't exist because, copyright. Think of The Rookie with Clip Talk. So, yeah, I think that for the universe that they have set up for where Star Trek is, I think how those ICE agents were working and how that was functioning, and just kind of the commentary of things that were happening, I think works to lead into the Bell riots time frame. So when you look at it like that, I think that it makes sense. And I also appreciate that they didn't do the Discovery thing of including like a real world person of only political nature playing a part, at least as far as I can tell. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think that they did well with, the CGI was fine. I would have liked a bit more hand-to-hand combat just because of how good they did it in season 1. And maybe I'm just, because I've only watched it the one time, because I'm not going to subject myself to the whole rest of that season for all the things that happened there more than once. But, so maybe I'm remembering it just because of how good the fight scenes were. Maybe there was only a couple, but in this one, there was only a couple, and, it was with Elnor, or whatever his name was. And, he kicked butt again, but I felt like there was a couple times where they could have had a little bit more hand-to-hand, that they just found a reason to like, we're going to do this other thing instead and move around here. So I would have liked a little bit more hand-to-hand just because of how much they improved with Star Trek Picard versus 90s Star Trek in terms of a hand-to-hand combat. And I also would have liked a little bit more set in the Picard future universe, because like I said, this felt like a two-parter episode of Q making them go back in time. Like, they already had that in Star Trek Next Generation, and now they're just doing it again, but with updated technology. And you know how I'm kind of a sucker for that sort of thing. So I did like that, but I still would have liked a little bit more in the ahead future setup. But yeah, I know I didn't talk about much, but the Borah Queen was excellent. Her interaction with the other chick who was helping her, whose name escapes me at this moment. Their interactions were great, and I loved how she played, and just like everything about her, every moment that she was on screen, I loved. And I'm sorry I can't remember her name right now, but her character was awesome, and like I would watch a whole show with just her. Obviously, if you've gotten this far, again, super duper spoiler alert. Clearly, that's not going to happen. That they're not going to have a show with just her, because it's kind of impossible at this point. But yeah, I liked that once again. Like, talking solves their problems. I like that they emphasized that in this season of Discovery, and I like that they emphasized that here, where talking basically would solve the problems that were presented. One last thing, again, super duper spoiler alert, that I didn't like as much is that they only had, I'm gonna guess, I mean, it looked like a dozen, but let's just say 3 dozen ships. Let's just say 40 ships. So they had 40 ships and a super Borg star. Hooray for them exploring their different geometry. To stop something that was going to erupt and wipe out like half the quadrant or whatever. I mean, granted, I know they were just stopping it just as it was starting, so you could factor that into like, oh, well, it didn't have enough time to spread and cause those other things. So I get that, but I still feel like if it's something that's going to be planet destroying, star destroying, like half a galaxy or a quarter of a galaxy destroying, I don't know that I would believe that 40 ships and a Borg star that needs those 40 ships in order to be successful at stopping it would be able to stop it. Because, especially when you have, like, the ships in the Star Trek universe don't often, like, they aren't planet-killing ships. And, like, if you think about it, yes, they have big ships, but if you actually think about the size perspective of, like, an average Star Trek ship versus the size of a planet, like, these things are real tiny, and you're saying that just 40 of those could stop something that's going to just destroy a planet like Star Trek Season 4 Discovery style. I don't know, man. I don't know. And it makes me think of, like Charge of the Light Brigade episodes with Deep Space Nine, how they had, like, hundreds of ships involved in these battles. And so if you had brought hundreds of ships to this, that I could be like, okay, there's a multiplying effect there maybe. But as it was, felt a little like they should have used more ships. But I did appreciate that, like, hey, you bring it all the way back to like the first seconds of the first episode, and boom, just talk, and and things will go fine, And then one last thing, probably, is his like flashback with his mother. I felt like they solved his I don't want to have a family issue way back with the Loot episode. Like, that was a seminal episode that like changed his perspective on having a family. And once again, they kind of retconned it to be like, no, that didn't happen. We're going to go with Picard for most of the other seasons that didn't want a family, and we're going to explore why that was with this some trauma that we have to spend the entire fucking season having mini flashbacks after mini flashbacks every time something particular happened in the current time frame. He's like, let me have a mini flashback that's somehow exactly related to what is happening on the screen. And like, maybe that's why he was like, here's the test or whatever. But was anybody surprised that the thing that happened to his mother happened to his mother? Were you? I wasn't surprised. I saw that shit coming episodes away, and I was just like, okay, I guess we're just gonna have to go through the process for him to relive his trauma, to get over it, to like understand. Oh, and that actually brings to mind another thing, so I guess I'm not done talking. I liked that, once again, some people might be like, oh, like, maybe this is why people, and I didn't look into it because I didn't want spoilers. Most of what I saw is like, well, Picard, what's wrong with the world? Like, is it though? I really liked that Q was acting as her therapist and guiding her down the wrong path. Huh? Yeah. Think about it. Okay. Moving on. So, yeah, just having to relive Picard's trauma over and over again to like where we know this was going, that's part of the things that I think could have been cut to shorten this season down. So I don't know if they were just contractually obligated to 8 episodes or what, but I think that this would have been really solid, like 4 or 5 episode thing to really just tighten it up a bit. I will say that I got a little teary-eyed towards the end with what happened with Q, because I love Q. Q's my favorite, and Q's the best. And I wonder if they had this planned out, or if they had to align with, I think it was Discovery Season 3, when they went to like the Uber future, the like past the burn future, and they were like, the Q hasn't been seen in over 600 years. Like, maybe this is why Q hasn't been seen in over 600 years. So I thought that was fun. Again, I don't know if they just were like, shit, they did that to Q, so now I have to figure out how to kill Qs. I don't know. But I did like how they did it, whether one caused the other or vice versa, if they had it planned out. If I was Batman, I'd say that Season 3 didn't have planned out for how Q was going to end, and the Picard series just kind of was like, ooh, maybe we incorporate that. That's what I'm thinking happened, but either way, I thought they did a good job of it. So, once again, I'm giving the season a big thumbs up, especially because of how fucking terrible Season 1 was. So, if you haven't seen Season 1 yet, just don't bother. Watch Season 2. It's really good. Okay, that's all I have for this one. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye.